1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Romesh Piris and read by Geethanjali Ramanayaka. The headlines. The DMC confirms over 7,600 persons from 5 districts affected by inclement weather during the past 2 days. The Irrigation Department issues flood warnings to residents of several low-lying areas. All schools in Nuwara district closed today due to adverse weather. The government offices to reopen on Fridays. The apparel industry to receive duty concessions. Litro to reduce domestic gas prices from August 5th. The first Kumbal Perahara to parade streets of Kandy tonight. International news, UN chief warns nuclear annihilation just one miscalculation away. Sports, the 2022 Commonwealth Games, South Asia's fastest man Abekun off the blocks in Birmingham today. News in detail. A total of 7,649 persons from 5 districts have been affected by heavy rains and gusty winds experienced in the country during the past 2 days. 3 persons have died while 3 others are missing in weather-related incidents as well. The Disaster Management Centre in its latest situation report confirmed that 1,766 families from the Nuwara, Kandy, Galle, Ratnapura and Jaffna districts have been affected due to inclement weather. 528 families in the Kandy district and 57 families in the Ratnapura district have been relocated to temporary shelters. The DMC added 25 houses have been partially damaged owing to inclement weather across the country. The Irrigation Department warns of possible flooding in low-lying areas along the banks of the Kalu, Kalani and Nilwara rivers due to the inclement weather experienced over the island. The department said the water levels of rivers can increase significantly at short notice owing to heavy rains. Accordingly, residents of low-lying areas in the Palmadula, Nimithikala, Ratnapura, Kuruvita, Ayagama and Alapatha divisional secretariat areas in the Ratnapura districts have been requested to remain vigilant. The Irrigation Department added that residents of the Pasgoda, Kotapola, Pitabadra, Akurassa, Adralia, Malimbada, Tiagoda, Matra, Kambrupitiya, Mulatiana and Devinura divisional secretariat areas could also experience minor flooding and therefore urged area residents to remain vigilant of the rising water levels. The governor of the Central Province, Lalit U. Gamage, said all government schools in the Nuwara district will remain closed today due to adverse weather conditions. Heavy rainfall had been experienced in most parts of the country, including the Central Province since yesterday. The Met Department today warned that showery and windy conditions are likely to enhance in the western and southern sea areas and over the southwest quarter of the island during the next few days with the strengthening of the southwest monsoon. The Litro Gas Lanka Limited Chairman Mudita Piris revealed that the prices of domestic gas cylinders will be reduced from the 5th of August. Hence, the price of a 12.5 kilogram LP gas cylinder will be reduced by more than 50 rupees. Speaking to the media, Piris observed that Litro has supplied more than 2.2 million domestic gas cylinders to the market, as promised by the company 22 days before. Paris also observed that fuel queues no longer exist as the supply chain is getting back to normal. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The first Kumbal Perahara in the Kandy Asala Festival will parade the streets of Kandy tonight. The Perahara of the 4 Devalayas would converge at the Sri Dalada Maligawa in the evening and the Kumbal procession would set off at the auspicious hour of 6:01 p.m. today. The Kumbal Perahara would proceed along Dalada Vidya, D.S. Senanayaka Vidya, Temple Road, Deva Vidya, Colombo Street, Yatunura Vidya and return through Raja Vidya. The Mana District Secretary A. Stanley Dimel said that preparations are being made for the annual feast of Our Lady of Madhu. A discussion into the preparations for the festival was held at the Mana District Secretariat on Monday with the participation of Bishop Lionel Emmanuel Fernando, of Mana Diocese, Administrator of Madhu Shrine, Reverend Father Pepe Sosai, and Health Department and the police. The flag hoisting begins on August 6th, commencing the 9-day preparatory period before the feast of Our Lady of Madhu on August 15th. The statue depicting Mother Mary holding infant Jesus is centuries old and believed to have healing powers. And that ends local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In the main news story, the Cabinet of Ministers has approved a proposal to immediately annul the circular issued to grant state sector employees a holiday on Friday to engage in agricultural activities. In June, the Cabinet granted approval to a proposal to close government offices on Fridays due to issues faced by state sector employees to find transport facilities owing to the existing fuel shortage. However, the Cabinet of Ministers has now approved a resolution forwarded by the Prime Minister as the Minister of Public Administration to cancel the said circular with immediate effect. The decision has been taken considering the public transport is being normalised and also steps have been taken to prevent a food shortage in the country. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Watch Life is brought to you by
A Strength to Your Life. CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
The Department of Registration of Persons has taken step to issue birth certificates while including a Sri Lankan identification number for newborn babies from the 1st of August 2022. The DRP Commissioner General Vyani Gunathilaka said the birth certificates are issued as a combination process by DRP and the Registrar General's Department, that's RGD, for babies born in Sri Lanka. The DRP and the RGD are exchanging information through an online-based system. The pilot program was launched at each of the Divisional Secretariat offices at Gampaha, Dehiwala, Hangurankita, Kudnagara, Ratnapura, and Taman Kadua. And that was Watchlight.
A Strength to Your Life. CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable gifts and all bills are on 31st of October. Come to CIB today.
And moving on to a bulletin of world news in the headlines, UN chief warns nuclear annihilation, just one miscalculation away. US court sentences January 6 rioters to more than 7 years. Conjoined twins separated with the help of virtual reality. World news in detail now. The UN Secretary General has warned that the world is one misstep from devastating nuclear war and in peril not seen since the Cold War. Amid rising global tensions, humanity is just one misunderstanding, one miscalculation away from nuclear annihilation, he added. His remarks came at the opening of a conference for countries signed up to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. The 1968 deal was introduced after the Cuban Missile Crisis, an event often portrayed as the closest the world ever came to nuclear war. An associate of the far-right Three Percenters militia has been sentenced to more than 7 years in prison for joining a mob that stormed the U.S. Capitol in January 6, 2021, and later threatening to harm his children if they reported him to the FBI. U.S. District Judge Danby Friedrich issued a sentence of 7 years and 3 months on Monday, the longest yet for anyone involved in the riot. To date, federal prosecutors have won convictions in all but one of the 13 trials tried to the Capitol attack, which sought to keep Congress from certifying former President Donald Trump's election loss. Brazilian twins who were joined at the head have been successfully separated with the help of virtual reality. 3-year-olds Bernardo and Arthur Lima underwent surgeries in Rio de Janeiro with direction from Great Elm Street Hospital in London. The team spent months trialling techniques using virtual reality projections of the twins based on CT and MRI scans. It was described by surgeon Noor Al-Oez Jilani as space-age stuff. Back to the headlines of the world news. UN chief warns nuclear annihilation, just one miscalculation away. US court sentences January 6 rioters to more than 7 years. Conjoined twins separated with the help of virtual reality. And that was world news. Moving on to a bulletin of development news. The Cabinet of Ministers has approved a proposal to grant duty concessions to import appliances and items needed for the apparel industry. Accordingly, duty concessions will be granted to import items that are not manufactured locally. The Minister of Industries has presented the Cabinet paper in order to provide relief to the apparel industry, which is dealing with the price hike of raw materials and the prevailing unfavorable economic environment in the country. The apparel industry has become one of the main sectors earning foreign exchange to Sri Lanka, even amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. And that was development news.
Sports news is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
2022 Commonwealth Games news. South Asia's fastest man Yupun Abekun will spearhead Sri Lanka's campaign for an athletic medal in the 22nd Commonwealth Games when he starts in the 100 metres at the Alexandra Stadium in Birmingham today. Abekun will be the first to get off the blocks in athletics for Sri Lanka, with 300-metre heats scheduled to commence at 2:30 p.m. local time, followed by the women's 800-metre heats featuring Gayantika Aberatna. Australia continues to remain on top of the 2022 Commonwealth Games medal tables. After the end of day 4 of the competition, claiming 71 medals, including 31 gold medals, they have also won 20 silver and bronze medals each. Hosts England with 21 gold medals and New Zealand with 13 gold medals remain second and third respectively. And that was sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Ceylon tea, widely considered by many the finest in the world and with a rich history dating back more than a century and a half, was named as the official tea supplier for the Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games. The Sri Lanka Tea Board has officially engaged in an agreement with the Games Organising Committee to provide Ceylon tea for the athletes, officials, ancillary providers and guests at the Birmingham 2022 Athletic Villages. To facilitate the arrangement, the leading suppliers of the Ceylon tea brand to the global market, namely Dilmah Tea and English Tea Shop, have come forward to offer their finest blends to those involved in Birmingham 2022 throughout the Games. And that was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
In economic news, the Cabinet of Ministers has given the approval for 2 proposals made by Minister of Labour and Foreign Employment Manusha Nanakara to promote migrant worker remittance. Accordingly, the provision of an additional duty concession allowance for migrant workers based on the amount of remittances transmitted through official channels upon their arrival was approved by the Cabinet of Ministers. Further, a license to import an electric vehicle equivalent to 50% of the remittance transmitted through legal channels was also approved. And that was economic news. Now we move on to the weather report. The Department of Meteorology forecasts the showery and windy condition to continue in the western and southern sea areas and over the southwest quarter of the island with the strengthening of the southwest monsoon. Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the western, Sabragama central, northern and northwestern provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts. Heavy falls above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in the aforesaid areas. Several spells of showers may occur in the North Central Province. Meanwhile, strong winds of about 50 kilometers per hour can be expected at times along the western slopes of the Central Hills and the north central, western, northwestern and southern provinces. That was the weather report. And to conclude this news broadcast, taking a look at the headlines again, the DMC confirms over 7,600 persons from 5 districts affected by inclement weather during the past 2 days. The Irrigation Department issues flood warnings to residents of several low-lying areas. All schools in the rural area districts closed today due to adverse weather. The government offices to reopen on Fridays. The apparel industry to receive duty concessions. Litro to reduce domestic LP gas prices from the 5th of August. The first Kumbal Perahara to parade streets of Kandy tonight. International news, UN chief warns nuclear annihilation, just one miscalculation away. Sports, the 2022 Commonwealth Games, South Asia's fastest man Abhi Khoon off the blocks in Birmingham today. And with that, we end this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.